Good morning. Welcome to episode 59 of the Driller Newscast, a weekly update of the news and stories impacting the water and the drilling industry. I'm your host, Brock Yordy, and today we're talking all things waters of the United States, Colorado River Compact, what's going on with the Department of the Interior, and it's about time we start having difficult conversations about how navigable waters, Clean Water Act, are connected to groundwater. And I know this is a taboo subject, and something that we just don't want to be part of. Very scared of the home builders associations and the livestock associations and big ag and industry, but they touch groundwater. And this body right here feeds 40 million Americans, 7 states, multiple tribal nations. The snow melt is great. We got a lot to get into. I hope you enjoy this episode, but before we start, let's talk some safety.
For this week's safety topic, it's the beginning of May. We're going to talk about how this month is Mental Health Awareness Month. I want you to think about these statistics. Almost 21% of all adults in the past 3 years have been experiencing mental illness. That is equivalent to over 50 million Americans. The vast majority of these individuals have a substance use disorder and are not receiving treatment. 15.35% of these adults had a substance use disorder in the past year. Of them, 93.5% did not receive any form of treatment. We are a big chunk of these statistics in the construction industry. And I think this is something that we really need to be thinking about, and how we as an industry have to be more aware. Millions of adults in the US experience serious thoughts of suicide, with the highest rate among multiracial individuals. The percentage of adults reporting serious thoughts of suicide is 4.84%, totaling over 12.1 million Americans. 11% of these adults who have identified with 2 or more races report serious thoughts of suicide in the past 3 years. That's 6% higher than the average among all adults. Almost a third of these adults with a mental illness report that they were not able to receive the treatment they needed. I want you to think about that. How we talk about safety, we talk about the importance of our industry, everything that we need. 100,000 new workers by 2030 to fill the age gap, as we have many retirees leaving our industry. So mental health is very important. We need to start watching our friends, our colleagues, our coworkers, our family, and checking in on them. Because the worst part of the situation is they just don't believe there isn't help. The Center for Disease Control states construction has the highest suicide rates of all industries at 53.2 suicides per 100,000 workers. That's about 4 times greater than the national average, which is 17.3 individuals out of 100,000, and 5 times greater than all other construction fatalities combined. It's 10.1 out of 100,000. In fact, suicide could rightfully top the list of OSHA's Fatal 4, our Focus 4, and we have put mental health on that list. This is an unfortunate situation for us that we can 100% mitigate, and it's no different than any other safety program that we have. We just need to discuss what are the elements of a caring construction culture. And I know this sounds crazy, right? Why would we need to become more warm and fuzzy? Well, because we have long hours and we have long distance relationships, and we don't work traditional jobs. It takes a lot to help make resources come out of the ground. And it doesn't stop for birthdays and anniversaries and people being sick. I think about my situation. I spent from May of 2020 to June of 2021 in Florida in the middle of this crazy pandemic. I came back, and 2.5 months later, my father died of COVID. I lost that time with him, and it weighed on me hard. And I didn't reach out. I didn't ask for the help that I should have asked for. So we need to start thinking about this culture. For starters, it's people feeling a sense of connection with their peers and belonging within the organization. I want you to think about that. When we were a family drilling industry built on nepotism, that was your brother, your cousin, your sister, your uncle, your father, your grandfather, your aunt, grandma, mom. It was blood. We were tied to it. In this 21st century construction industry, our people value feeling a sense of trust and community with those they work alongside. And I know we have said we got this non-traditional workforce and you don't have to like each other, you just have to work with each other and respect each other. No, the signs are at work. We need to have each other's back. We need to be developing a better culture here. This organizational culture starts at the top. That's right, owners, leaders, rig operators, lead pump guy. We need to recognize that our role is not only making sure the job is done efficiently with profitability and safety, but helping our workers feel valued and appreciated for the contributions they make in our working community. A caring culture is also one in which leaders emphasize the importance of workers taking care of their mental health and well-being and reaching out for help when it's needed. This starts with us having better communication, having those one-on-one discussions. Like I've said before, what I always like to say to my team: do you like your job? Do you feel safe? What do you want to do next? What's preventing you from believing this is your forever job? We have to be able to, in those conversations, say, it's okay not to be okay. And remind our people to get help when it's needed. This is no different than if we have a sore back or repetitive stress injury, we need to make sure they're getting the proper help, right? Mental health is right on top of that. Less than half of the people who experience mental health situations receive care. Organizations increasingly recognize the role they can play in normalizing these conditions and breaking down barriers to people accessing the proper care. We talk about we want to hire veterans. Well, the post-Gulf War era 2 veterans that would be phenomenal for our industry right now, they saw some bad stuff. And then we compound that with this crazy virus, and they need help. 78% of people that are having mental health issues feel the stigma of shame. 77% of them fear judgment by their peers. Again, because we can't be that warm and fuzzy industry. 55% fear of a negative job consequence. Think about that. We're in a bad place. We're worried that we're going to lose our job by speaking out for help. And finally, just under 50% don't know where to access care. So we're on the road and our colleague stops going to dinner with us. We notice they're drinking multiple alcoholic drinks at night and their performance is slowed down. They don't have the right attitude. And what do we say? Oh, they're just staying out too late. They're just partying. They don't have the right work ethic. We need to dig deeper. We need to advocate for the right help. Just no different than any other safety policy we have. So I want you to go out there and in this week's safety meeting, ask everybody how they're doing. Talk about it. If that doesn't work and you're listening to this, shoot me a text or a phone call and I'll connect you with my group of community in this awesome drilling and construction industry. We can talk too. You don't have to go at this alone. And I'll tell you what, a year ago, when I started this newscast, I was still going at it alone, completely devastated after watching my father pass away. 30 days in the hospital, me there every day. We don't have to do this by ourselves. Step up and speak up for those that don't seem healthy. If that means it's a bad shoulder or knee or attitude, we got to dig deeper. Be safe out there. This week in the news, we just covered some geothermal. Last week, I was at the New York Geothermal Conference, and it was an amazing time with a lot of great folks. In mid-April, President Biden, with his Inventing in America, the U.S. Department of Energy announced $250 million in funding opportunities to accelerate electric heat pump manufacturing in America. This is the first funding opportunity announcement stemming from the Department of Energy's new authorization invoked by last summer's Defense Production Act to increase domestic production of 5 key clean energy technologies, including electric heat pumps. This funding provided by the Inflation Reduction Act will be used to build a clean energy economy, create good-paying manufacturing jobs, and help families save money on their energy bills. It's going to increase use of electric heat pumps for heating and cooling, which will help lower energy costs for Americans and families and businesses, and also create healthier indoor space through American-made clean energy technologies. It's a quote from Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm. Electric heat pumps offer a cheaper, more reliable option for heating and cooling that isn't prone to dramatic price swings and helps to strengthen the nation's energy independence. President Biden authorized the Department of Energy to lead this charge, knowing that Americans across the country will feel the benefits from the manufacturing workers leading development and deployment to the consumers who will benefit from energy savings. Heating and cooling buildings, homes, offices, schools, hospitals, military bases, and other critical facilities drive more than 40% of all U.S. energy consumption. We heard that from JEG last year. Because heat pumps transfer heat rather than generate heat, this technology efficiently provides comfortable temperatures for heating and cooling homes and businesses in all climates, especially when homes are well insulated and can also provide more efficient water heating. The Department of Energy is extending applications to manufacturers that are interested in creating new facilities or expanding existing production capacity to efficiently develop more electric heat pump systems, components, and materials in the United States. The Department of Energy is seeking projects that will construct new commercial scale facilities or expand existing facilities to create new or additional domestic production capabilities retool or retrofit existing commercial scale facilities to transition manufacturing from non-heat pump HVAC systems and or water heating equipment to produce electric heat pump materials, heat pump components, and heat pump systems. This is investing in America's clean energy manufacturing workforce for providing good paying union jobs. Well done, Department of Energy, Energy Secretary Jennifer Granholm, and our current administration with this. Obviously, this is how we get to net zero. And I'm happy to hear you all start talking about ground source and not just hot rock geo, as we've heard in the past. Well done. I'm seeing great things on LinkedIn and other posts with, loops and everything else. Now let's get the building technologies office to start recognizing this as well and how much farther we can push it along. Next, let's jump over to Arizona, which has rescinded drilling permits for 2 water wells for a Saudi Arabian owned alfalfa farm in the western portion of the state after authorities said they discovered inconsistencies in the company's well applications. This is a big deal, everybody, because let's face it, we've been talking about groundwater. We've been talking about waters of the United States. We've been talking about the Colorado Compact. And this is big ag. Yes, it's a foreign big ag company, but many of our big ag is foreign. And now they've rescinded these 2 wells. Last week, Attorney General Chris Mays said her office uncovered the inconsistencies in the applications for the new wells for the company in Arizona, which used sprinklers to grow alfalfa in the La Paz County and exports it to feed dairy cattle in Saudi Arabia. The company does not pay for the water it uses. When Mays brought the inconsistencies in the applications to the attention of the state officials, they agreed to rescind the permits, which were approved last August. According to azfamily.com, the new wells would have pumped up to 3,000 gallons of water per minute. Again, from azfamilies.com, they state an average Phoenix family of 4 uses roughly 17,000 gallons of water per month. We talk about the national average is 110 gallons, per household, individual. And here we are at 150 gallons per individual in these households in Phoenix. Come on, Phoenix, get it together. They state these 2 new wells would have pumped in just 3 minutes what a family of 4 uses in a month. In some cases, neighbors have complained that these corporate farms have used so much water that neighboring wells have run dry. In addition, Arizona faces the possibility of losing substantial amounts of Colorado River water when the federal government announces new actions to combat low water levels in Lake Powell and Lake Mead. And we're going to get to that Colorado Compact in just a moment. And I know what you're all thinking. Hey, we just had all of this rain and we got this great snow melt, but we're talking about groundwater connected to the compact. And this is full circle. If you guys don't get what's happening here with what is the waters of the United States and how we say that, nope, that's, navigable waters, very little to have to do with where our groundwater is influencing that. It's all coming together, and we're going to see some big precedents come out in this. For our feature, let's jump into the 3 action items the Department of Interior announced to protect stability in the Colorado River Basin. The 3 alternatives. We have the no action alternative, which basically says that the consequences of the continued implementation of existing agreements that control operations of Glen Canyon Dam and Hoover Dam, including under further deteriorating hydrologic conditions and reservoir elevations, is not an option for us. That's the no action. Let's just continue to operate, give the senior water rights holders what they have. And maybe this gift that we've just had from Mother Nature with the 700 inches of Sierra snowpack and the atmospheric rivers that we saw come through is just going to magically get us out of this 15-year drought. Next, the action plan alternative 1, which models potential operational changes to both Glen Canyon Dam and Hoover Dam. In this one, the model has reduced release from Glen Canyon Dam, as well as an analysis of the effects of additional lower Colorado River basin shortages based predominantly on the priority of water rights. That's right. When the 7 states came together for this Colorado Compact, we saw it somewhere between 16 million, 22 million, 4 million acre feet. We gave them 1.5 million to Mexico. We can see right now in the news that tribal nations are asking the Rio Grande Water Compact to come together. They want to be at the table to have these discussions because Colorado, Texas, New Mexico, and Mexico need that water. And as long as we, from the upper basin down to the lower basin of the Colorado, it's a lot less water. So this Action 1 model looks at major additional shortages as Lake Mead's elevations decline and understands that there will be additional shortages in 2025 and 2026 as compared to what's happening now. This is all based on the 2 million acre feet that we needed to reduce. The Department of Interior asked for 2 to 4 million acre feet, and 6 of the 7 states, because California can't get it together, being the senior water right holder, said, no, we have an alternative. But the rest of those states came right in and said, we can reduce, we can do better. So now we go to Action Alternative Plan 2, which I think is the most appropriate as we should be good stewards of our environment and looking at how we can do water conservation. And just like Action Plan 1, it uses the same models with potential operational changes to both Glen Canyon Dam and Hoover Dam. It also includes modeling for reduced release from Glen Canyon, as well as an analysis of the effects of additional lower Colorado River basin reductions that are distributed in the same percentages across all lower basin water users under the shortage conditions. That's right. There would be no seniority. We're looking at everybody rations appropriately, and we work through this and we come up with better models. And everything that we have right now is based on this 2007 study, with the exception of what we're looking at right now. These 3 plans are out there, and the Federal Register has opened it up. Everybody has until May 30th to make their voice heard. And then while that's going on, I know on May 10th and May 18th, there's virtual discussions where you can get on, you can hear what's happening with these public meetings, and you can find those at the Reclamation's website and do your part. Make sure that you are the groundwater professional that's hearing all these pieces that's going on. Okay, so we've had this massive atmospheric rivers and 700 inches of the Sierra Nevada snowpack. We're out of this 15-year drought. Reservoirs are full. California is about to hand out 100% of their allocation. This is what the April 18th National Drought Monitor conditions stated. 21.6% of the U.S. are still in a drought. 183.4 million acres of cropland are still in a drought. 50.8 million people are still affected by a drought. And that's up 10% from last month. 35 US states are experiencing moderate drought. And that's up 6 states since last month. This is what they stated. The water picture changed dramatically starting in December when the first of a dozen atmospheric rivers hit, causing widespread flooding and damaging homes and infrastructures and dumping as many as 700 inches of snow in the Sierra Nevada mountains. The statewide reservoir storage at the end of April was at 105% of the average for the date, and that's according to the Department of Water Resources. Runoff from the melting snow will supply an additional water that the California State Agency is attempting to capture. As of this week, more than 65% of California is no longer in drought conditions. And that leads right into California being able to provide 100% of the water requested by cities and farms for the first time in several years. The State Water Project will provide full allocations to 29 water agencies supplying about 27 million customers and 750,000 acres of farmland. That comes from the Department of Water Resources. As of late March, the agency was only expecting to provide 75% of the requested water supplies. The last time the state agency fully met water requests was in 2006. So they're able to give out the amount of water they need. And as we look at the three options from the Department of the Interior, there's either no action at all, or there is, they have senior priority and we're pushing out. Is this responsible and sustainable? Well, the Department of Interior came back and said it has the authority to make sure basic needs such as drinking water and hydropower generation from rivers are met, even if that means setting aside the priority system. At the end of the day, the Interior Secretary has the authority and the responsibility to operate the system. This is from Interior Deputy Secretary Tommy Boudreau. They stated to the Associated Press, those duties give the federal government the ability to make some decisions that defy the priority system. If you remember, in January, we covered that 6 of the 7 compact states, Arizona, Colorado, Nevada, New Mexico, Utah, and Wyoming, outlined a conservation plan. However, California at that time refused to join in the plan, stating their senior water rights. We have made massive investments to address this drought crisis. President Biden's Investing in America's Agenda represented the largest investment in climate resilience in the nation's history and is providing much needed resources to enhance the resilience of the West to drought climate change, including to protect the short and long-term sustainability of the Colorado River system. The Bureau of Reclamation had $8.3 billion over the next 5 years for water infrastructure to help out on this. And the Inflation Reduction Act invested an additional $4.6 billion to address this historic drought. We are not out of the drought. We got a gift from Mother Earth. To date, the Interior Department has announced the following investments for Colorado River Basin states, which will yield hundreds of thousands of acre-feet of water savings each year once the projects are completed. $281 million for 21 water recycling projects that are expected to increase annual water capacity by 127,000 acre-feet annually. $233 million in water conservation funding for the Gila River Indian community, including $83 million for water pipeline projects and an additional $50 million from the Inflation Reduction Act through the Lower Colorado River Basin System Conservation and Efficiency Program. And these will be invested in 24 and in 25. There was over $73 million for infrastructure repairs on water delivery systems. $71 million for 32 drought resiliency projects to expand access to water throughout groundwater storage, rain harvesting and aquifer recharge and water treatment. At the end of April, right, the National Groundwater Association was hosting its first in San Antonio, the managing of aquifer recharges. This is a big deal. And so here we go. How are we going to work on drought resiliency? Groundwater. How are we going to help the Colorado compact state? Groundwater. And all of this is going on in April while we have 24 states in West Virginia and North Dakota suing the EPA over the waters of the United States. We had the president stepping in and vetoing the revised definition. And this was his statement. The 2023 revised definition of the waters of the United States carefully sets the bounds for which bodies of water are protected under the Clean Water Act. It provides clear rules of the road that will help advance infrastructure projects, economic investments, and agricultural activities, all while protecting water quality and public health. The resolution would leave Americans without a clear definition of the waters of the United States. The increased uncertainty caused by Resolution 27 would threaten economic growth, including for agriculture, local economies, and downstream communities. Farmers would be left wondering whether artificially irrigated areas remained excluded or not. Construction crews would be left wondering whether the water-filled gravel pits remained excluded or not. The resolution would also negatively affect tens of millions of United States households that depend on healthy wetlands and streams. Therefore, I'm vetoing the resolution. I've covered a lot this week. We got a lot of snowpack melting. We can see it in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. We can see it all over the Western United States. At the same time, we're seeing Virginia and the Northeast affected by a drought. We have some extreme changes in climate, and we have to be better stewards of water sustainability and where we're going to go from here. Thank you for joining us for episode 59 of the Driller Newscast. There's a lot going on. Check in on our people. Mental health is just as important as every other job safety analysis we do. And be paying attention. Do I think that the definitive definition of the waters of the United States is bulletproof? No. Do I think ephemeral streams are as important as active navigable streams, especially in these excessive rains, and what we want to do with rainwater storage into the ground, groundwater management? Think about this. They are connected, and we as an industry need to be paying attention to how this works out. Be safe. Have a great month of May.